What happens when humanity's first contact with an alien species turns into a fight for survival against an even greater cosmic threat? Just as trust begins to form, a hidden countdown reveals Earth's darkest hour, and an impossible choice that will change everything. The first contact wasn't supposed to happen this way. For decades, humanity had speculated about visitors from beyond the stars. Scientists theorized, philosophers debated, and conspiracy theorists spun wild tales. Yet when the Lamari arrived, it felt almost mundane, like something out of a poorly written sci-fi novel. Their ship materialized over the Sahara Desert without warning, casting long shadows across the dunes. It hovered silently for hours before finally landing, sending tremors through the ground that could be felt miles away. When the hatch opened, the crowd gasped. The Lamari moved gracefully, their elongated limbs exuding both elegance and strength. Their leader, Ambassador Zoran, addressed the assembled humans, not in broken English or cryptic symbols, but in flawless, melodic speech. "Your kind calls us invaders," Zoran began, his voice echoing unnaturally. "But we are here not to conquer, but to coexist." Behind the scenes, however, tensions simmered. General Marcus Kane, commander of Earth's Global Defense Initiative, watched the broadcast from his secure bunker. To him, the Lumari's sudden appearance reeked of ulterior motives. He ordered reconnaissance drones deployed immediately, though publicly he urged restraint. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena Vasquez, a linguist tasked with studying the Lamari language, noticed something peculiar. Their phrasing suggested they already knew much more about humanity than they let on. As the days passed, the initial awe gave way to suspicion. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, demanding answers. Conspiracy theories spread faster than wildfire. And somewhere deep underground, scientists analyzed fragments of Lamari technology recovered during covert operations. The pieces didn't add up. If the Lamari truly wanted peace, why were their ships equipped with weapon systems unlike anything humanity had ever seen? Days turned into weeks, and the Lamari remained camped in the desert, their ship a gleaming monument to their presence. Diplomatic talks continued, but progress was slow. Zoran grew increasingly frustrated, his once calm demeanor giving way to flashes of irritation. "You humans speak of unity," he said during one particularly heated exchange, "yet your actions betray division." Meanwhile, General Kane ramped up his surveillance efforts. Satellite images revealed strange activity aboard the Lamari vessel, movements that suggested preparations for something significant. Were they building something, or stockpiling resources? No one knew for sure, but Kane wasn't taking chances. He authorized Operation Black Dawn, a top-secret mission to infiltrate the Lamari base and gather intel. Leading the operation was Captain Rachel Hayes, a decorated soldier known for her unorthodox methods. Under cover of darkness, she led a team of elite operatives across the desert, their stealth suits rendering them nearly invisible. As they approached the ship, they discovered something shocking. Massive structures hidden beneath the sand, connected to the vessel by glowing conduits. Whatever the Lamari were planning, it was bigger than anyone imagined. Back at headquarters, Dr. Vasquez uncovered another disturbing detail. Embedded within the Lamari language were references to past encounters with other civilizations, all of which ended disastrously. Could history repeat itself? Or was there still hope for peaceful coexistence? Captain Rachel Hayes and her team moved like shadows through the labyrinth of glowing conduits beneath the Lamari ship. The air was thick with an electric charge, and every step echoed ominously in the cavernous tunnels. What they found defied explanation. Massive chambers filled with crystalline structures pulsating with light, their surfaces etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift when observed too closely. It was as if the Lamari had brought a fragment of their home world with them, embedding it into Earth's soil. But then they stumbled upon something even more unsettling. A chamber containing rows of dormant machines, each resembling a hybrid between organic tissue and mechanical engineering. Hayes recognized them instantly: war drones. They weren't active yet, but their sheer number suggested the Lumari were preparing for conflict on a scale humanity couldn't comprehend. As she transmitted images back to command, her comm crackled with static. "We've got company," whispered one of her teammates, pointing toward the far end of the chamber. A group of Lumari guards emerged, their forms radiating an eerie luminescence. Unlike Zoran, these beings were heavily armored, their movements fluid yet menacing. Hayes signaled for retreat, but it was too late. One of her men tripped over a conduit, triggering an alarm that reverberated through the tunnels. The Lumari reacted instantly, their weapons thin rods emitting beams of searing energy, trained on the intruders. The ensuing firefight was chaotic and brief. Outmatched by technology far beyond their own, Hayes' team barely escaped with their lives. Back at base, General Kane reviewed the footage, his jaw tightening with every frame. "They're not here for peace," he muttered. "They're here to conquer." But before he could act, Dr. Vasquez interrupted him with urgent news. The Lumari language contained warnings not just about past conflicts, but also about prophecies tied to Earth itself. The pieces were falling into place, but the picture they formed was terrifying. Humanity now faced a choice: preemptive action or continued diplomacy. Either path carried risks no one could fully grasp. Tensions escalated rapidly after the failed infiltration mission. News outlets around the globe reported rumors of the discovery, though details remained vague due to military censorship. Public opinion fractured further. Some called for immediate retaliation against the Lumari, while others pleaded for restraint, arguing that violence would only validate the aliens' worst assumptions about humanity. Zoran addressed the growing unrest during a press conference held near the desert site. Standing atop a raised platform, his voice resonated with authority. "Your distrust wounds us deeply," he declared. "Yet we understand its roots. We ask only for patience, for time to prove our intentions are pure." His words carried weight, but skepticism lingered. Many wondered why the Lumari hadn't dismantled their hidden arsenal if they truly sought peace. Behind closed doors, political leaders debated how to proceed. President Evelyn Carter, known for her cautious approach to international crises, leaned toward diplomacy. She authorized a goodwill gesture, sending a delegation of scientists, including Dr. Vasquez, to board the Lumari ship and observe their operations firsthand. The move sparked outrage among hawks like General Kane, who argued it was reckless to expose humans to potential danger. Dr. Vasquez, however, saw an opportunity. Armed with advanced translation devices and a thirst for knowledge, she led the team aboard the alien vessel. Inside, they marveled at the seamless integration of biology and machinery. Walls seemed alive, responding to touch with bursts of color. Lumari technicians guided them through corridors lined with holographic displays showing scenes of distant planets and civilizations. But curiosity soon gave way to unease. In one chamber, the humans encountered what appeared to be a simulation room, a place where Lumari warriors trained for combat. The simulations depicted battles against various species, each ending in the invaders' defeat. One scenario, however, stood out: a recreation of Earth's major cities reduced to rubble. When questioned, the Lumari escorts dismissed it as hypothetical training. Yet doubt gnawed at the edges of Vasquez's mind. Was this truly hypothetical or preparation? The delegation returned to Earth with mixed emotions. While the Lumari had been hospitable, the glimpses of their simulated warfare left many uneasy. Dr. Vasquez presented her findings to President Carter, emphasizing the need for transparency from both sides. "If we can't trust them completely," she said, "then we must prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." General Kane seized the moment to push for increased militarization. He unveiled plans for Project Titan, a global initiative aimed at developing countermeasures against alien technology. Using data gathered from the Lumari ship, engineers worked tirelessly to reverse engineer captured components. Early prototypes showed promise, but progress was slow. Time was running out. Meanwhile, protests erupted worldwide. Activists clashed with law enforcement outside government buildings, demanding answers about the true nature of the Lumari presence. Conspiracy theorists gained traction online, claiming the aliens were terraforming Earth for colonization. Some groups even began stockpiling weapons, fearing imminent invasion. Amid the chaos, Ambassador Zorin issued a stark warning. Addressing the United Nations via live broadcast, he spoke of forces beyond your understanding, threatening both species. "We came to protect you," he insisted, "but your mistrust weakens us all." His cryptic message sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community. Was he referring to another extraterrestrial threat? Or was this a ploy to justify aggression? As uncertainty mounted, Dr. Vasquez discovered a hidden layer within the Lumari language, a code embedded in their syntax that hinted at a countdown. Something significant was approaching, and it wasn't clear whether humanity would survive it. The countdown deciphered by Dr. Vasquez became the focus of frantic analysis. Scientists worked around the clock, cross-referencing the code with astronomical data and historical records. The conclusion was chilling. The countdown aligned perfectly with the arrival of an unknown celestial object projected to pass dangerously close to Earth within weeks. Could this be the force Zorin had referenced? Public panic reached new heights as news of the impending event leaked. Social media exploded with doomsday predictions, and governments scrambled to maintain order. Emergency protocols were activated globally, evacuating coastal regions and securing critical infrastructure. Yet amidst the hysteria, a glimmer of hope emerged. The Lumari offered assistance, deploying shield generators capable of mitigating potential impact damage. However, accepting their help came with strings attached. Zorin demanded unrestricted access to Earth's satellite network, ostensibly to monitor the celestial object more effectively. To skeptical leaders, this sounded like a Trojan horse, a means to disable humanity's defenses. Tensions flared once again, with factions divided over whether to accept the offer or risk facing the catastrophe alone. Dr. Vasquez found herself caught in the middle. Her expertise made her indispensable, yet her loyalty was questioned by those who viewed her collaboration with the Lumari as naive. Late one night, she received an encrypted message from an anonymous source within the military. Attached was a file detailing classified experiments conducted on Lumari artifacts. The results were alarming. Exposure to certain frequencies caused the materials to destabilize violently. Armed with this information, Vasquez confronted President Carter privately. "If we don't play our cards right," she warned, "this could escalate into open war." The president listened intently, weighing the implications. The stakes had never been higher, and the margin for error was razor-thin. Stay tuned. The next chapter will reveal the full extent of the danger looming overhead. The decision to accept the Lumari's assistance was fraught with peril. President Carter convened an emergency summit, inviting key figures from military, scientific, and diplomatic circles to deliberate. The room buzzed with heated arguments, each side presenting compelling cases. General Kane argued vehemently against granting the Lumari access to Earth's satellite network, citing the potential for sabotage. "Once they have control," he warned, "they'll cripple our ability to retaliate." Dr. Vasquez countered his fears with logic. "Without their shields, millions could die," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "We're gambling either way, whether it's trusting them or risking annihilation." Her stance earned nods of agreement from some, but others remained unconvinced. Ultimately, President Carter sided with caution over paranoia. She authorized limited access to the satellite network under strict supervision, ensuring fail-safes were in place to sever connections if necessary. Zorin accepted the compromise graciously, though his expression betrayed a flicker of disappointment. "You test us repeatedly," he remarked during a private meeting, "yet still we extend our hand." As preparations intensified, Strange phenomena began occurring worldwide. Reports poured in of bizarre atmospheric disturbances, lights streaking across skies, sudden temperature drops, and unexplained electromagnetic interference. Scientists linked these anomalies to the approaching celestial object, which grew larger and more ominous with each passing day. Meanwhile, Dr. Vasquez delved deeper into the encrypted files she'd received. What she uncovered sent chills down her spine. Blueprints for a weaponized version of the destabilization technology. Someone within Earth's ranks had been experimenting with turning Lumari artifacts into tools of destruction. Who was behind this clandestine project? And what did they hope to achieve? Her investigation led her to a remote facility nestled in the Arctic wilderness. There, researchers worked tirelessly under heavy guard, their faces masks of determination and fear. When confronted, the lead scientist admitted they were developing a contingency plan, a last resort should diplomacy fail. If war becomes inevitable, he explained, we need something capable of leveling the playing field. The Arctic facility became ground zero for a moral dilemma that threatened to unravel humanity's fragile alliance with the Lumari. Dr. Vasquez wrestled with whether to expose the secret program or keep it hidden, knowing full well the consequences of either choice. Exposing it might provoke the Lumari into retaliatory measures, while concealing it risked further betrayal once the truth inevitably surfaced. Back at the desert site, tensions simmered between human and alien forces. Soldiers patrolled nervously, their weapons trained on the glowing ship. Inside, Lumari technicians monitored Earth satellites, their focus unwavering. Ambassador Zoran maintained a stoic demeanor, but whispers among his entourage hinted at growing frustration. They doubt us at every turn, muttered one advisor. How long must we endure this mistrust? Then came the first sign of trouble. A malfunction occurred in one of the shield generators, causing localized blackouts across several regions. Panic spread as people interpreted the event as evidence of Lumari treachery. Protesters stormed government buildings, demanding answers. Conspiracy theorists seized the moment, claiming the shields were designed not to protect but to weaken Earth's defenses. General Kane saw an opportunity. He ordered reconnaissance teams to investigate the malfunction, suspecting sabotage. Captain Hayes led the mission, her instincts screaming danger. Sure enough, they discovered tampered circuits near the affected generator. But the perpetrator wasn't Lumari, it was human. Specifically, operatives from a rogue faction within Earth's military, acting on orders from someone high up the chain of command. Hayes reported her findings directly to President Carter, who listened in stunned silence. This changes everything, she murmured. If rogue elements within humanity were willing to undermine global safety for political gain, how could they possibly unite against a common threat? Dr. Vasquez faced a similar quandary. Returning from the Arctic, she realized the destabilization weapon wasn't just theoretical, it was functional. Its existence posed a monumental ethical question. Should humanity wield such power, even if it meant crossing a line no species should ever cross? The discovery of the rogue operation and the destabilization weapon created a rift within Earth's leadership. President Carter called for an emergency session of the Global Defense Council, where she laid bare the evidence of internal sabotage. General Kane denied involvement, though his clenched fists betrayed his anger. This is exactly why I opposed trusting the Lumari, he snapped. Their presence has fractured us from within. Dr. Vasquez took the floor, her voice trembling with urgency. We're making the same mistakes that doomed other civilizations, she argued. If we don't address our divisions now, we won't survive whatever's coming. Her plea fell on deaf ears. Factions hardened their positions, with some advocating for immediate deployment of the destabilization weapon as leverage against the Lumari, and others pushing for total transparency to repair trust. Amid the chaos, Ambassador Zoran made a bold move. Calling for a joint press conference, he addressed both humans and his own people. Enough games, he declared. Your leaders lie to you, and ours grow weary of patience. Let me show you the truth." With a wave of his hand, holographic projections filled the air, displaying the approaching celestial object in stark detail. It wasn't a random asteroid. It was a massive, biomechanical construct teeming with life forms. "This is the Harbinger," Zoran explained, "a force that consumes worlds. We came here not only to warn you but to fight alongside you. Yet your distrust weakens us all." Gasps rippled through the crowd. For the first time, humanity glimpsed the true scope of the threat and the stakes of unity. But skepticism persisted. Was Zoran telling the whole truth, or manipulating information to consolidate power? Dr. Vasquez analyzed the data provided by the Lumari, searching for inconsistencies. What she found chilled her to the core. The Harbinger wasn't just heading toward Earth. It was accelerating, drawn by the very energy signatures emitted by the Lumari ship. The pieces were falling into place, but the picture they formed was devastating. Humanity stood on the precipice of catastrophe, torn between fear and hope, division and cooperation. The revelation about the Harbinger ignited a race against time. Humanity and the Lumari worked together to bolster Earth's defenses, combining their technologies in unprecedented ways. Shield generators hummed with amplified power, and evacuation protocols expanded to include rural areas. Yet beneath the surface of collaboration, cracks widened. General Kane secretly mobilized troops, positioning them near the Lumari ship under the guise of security reinforcement. His true intention was clear: seize control of the vessel if things went south. Captain Hayes, torn between duty and morality, leaked his plans to Dr. Vasquez, who immediately informed President Carter. The president intervened, issuing a direct order to stand down. Meanwhile, Zoran revealed another shocking detail. The Harbinger wasn't merely a machine. It was sentient, driven by a collective intelligence bent on assimilating all life it encountered. Worse still, its acceleration suggested it had detected Earth's defensive measures and viewed them as a challenge. As the Harbinger entered Earth's atmosphere, panic erupted. Cities plunged into darkness as electromagnetic pulses disabled infrastructure. In the skies above, Lumari drones clashed with biomechanical swarms unleashed by the invader. Explosions lit up the horizon like fireworks, but the cost was staggering. Both sides suffered heavy losses, and the outcome remained uncertain. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, Dr. Vasquez proposed activating the destabilization weapon, not against the Lumari, but against the Harbinger itself. The risk was immense. Using the weapon could destabilize Earth's environment irreparably. Yet without it, defeat seemed inevitable. With seconds to spare, President Carter gave the order. The weapon fired, releasing a pulse of energy that tore through the Harbinger's core. The creature let out a deafening roar before collapsing into a cloud of ash. Silence fell over the battlefield as survivors processed what had just happened. Though victorious, the scars ran deep. Humanity and the Lumari emerged forever changed, bound by shared sacrifice and lingering doubts. As the dust settled, one question lingered. Had they truly vanquished the Harbinger, or merely delayed its return? The aftermath of the battle left Earth in a state of fragile equilibrium. Cities lay in ruins, their skylines marred by craters and toppled buildings. Refugees streamed into temporary shelters, their faces etched with exhaustion and grief. Yet amidst the devastation, there were glimmers of hope. The Lumari, though battered, remained steadfast in their commitment to aiding humanity's recovery. Their advanced medical technologies saved countless lives, while their engineers worked tirelessly to restore power grids and communication networks. But not everyone celebrated this newfound cooperation. General Kane, disgraced by his failed coup attempt, retreated into the shadows, vowing to expose what he called the alien occupation. His rhetoric gained traction among disillusioned citizens who viewed the Lumari as opportunistic invaders rather than saviors. Underground movements sprang up, spreading propaganda and organizing protests. Some went further, sabotaging joint human-luminary projects and attacking isolated outposts. Dr. Vasquez found herself at the center of the storm. Tasked with leading the scientific effort to study the Harbinger's remains, she faced constant scrutiny from both sides. Her team uncovered fragments of the creature embedded deep within the Earth's crust, remnants that pulsed faintly with residual energy. Analysis revealed something alarming. The Harbinger hadn't been acting alone. It was part of a larger network, a hive mind connected across galaxies, capable of regenerating lost components over time. "This isn't over," Vasquez warned during a tense briefing with President Carter and Zorin. "If we don't find a way to sever its connection to the hive, it will return stronger than before." Her words hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over the tentative peace. Zorin, however, offered a solution, or so he claimed. Deep within the Lumari archives, he unearthed blueprints for a device known as the Nullifier, a weapon designed specifically to disrupt hive minds. The catch? Building it required resources neither species possessed in sufficient quantities. Worse still, activating it would require placing it directly inside the Harbinger's core, a suicide mission if ever there was one. As plans took shape, alliances shifted. Some humans embraced the idea of working alongside the Lumari, seeing it as humanity's best chance for survival. Others saw it as a trap, convinced the Lumari intended to use the Nullifier to gain dominance over Earth. Tensions simmered, threatening to boil over once again. Construction of the Nullifier became a monumental undertaking, uniting scientists, engineers, and laborers from both species. Workshops buzzed with activity as teams collaborated around the clock, their efforts fueled by desperation and determination. Dr. Vasquez oversaw the project, her expertise bridging gaps between human ingenuity and Lumari innovation. Despite the progress, challenges abounded. Materials needed for the device were rare and difficult to synthesize, forcing researchers to improvise with untested methods. Meanwhile, dissent continued to fester. General Kane resurfaced, rallying his supporters under the banner of Earth First, a movement dedicated to driving the Lumari off the planet. His fiery speeches struck a chord with those who felt abandoned by their leaders, drawing crowds numbering in the thousands. Acts of sabotage increased, targeting supply lines and research facilities. One attack nearly destroyed the Nullifier prototype, setting back production by weeks. President Carter responded decisively, deploying peacekeeping forces to quell unrest. She addressed the nation in a heartfelt plea for unity, urging citizens to focus on the greater threat looming beyond the stars. "We cannot afford division," she declared, "not when everything we hold dear is at stake." Her words resonated with many, but others dismissed them as empty rhetoric. Amid the chaos, Captain Hayes emerged as an unlikely mediator. Having witnessed the horrors of war firsthand, she understood the cost of mistrust. She brokered meetings between human resistance leaders and Lumari diplomats, fostering dialogue where none had existed before. Slowly, grudging respect began to replace hostility. Yet even as tensions eased, a new complication arose. Scans of the Harbinger's remains detected faint signals emanating from deep space, messages being transmitted to unknown recipients. The hive mind wasn't just regenerating, it was calling for reinforcements. Time was running out. The signals confirmed humanity's worst fears. The Harbinger's defeat had been nothing more than a temporary reprieve. Somewhere in the vast expanse of the cosmos, reinforcements were en route, guided by the dying cries of their fallen comrade. The realization sent shockwaves through both species. Panic spread like wildfire, igniting old fears and reigniting calls for drastic measures. General Kane seized the moment to escalate his campaign. He leaked classified documents detailing the Nullifier's design, framing it as evidence of Lumari manipulation. "They've been planning this all along," he proclaimed during a rally, "using us as pawns in their galactic war." His accusations struck a nerve, fueling paranoia and distrust. Protests erupted outside the nullifier construction site, with crowds chanting slogans like, "Earth belongs to humans," and "No more alien lies." Ambassador Zorin appealed for calm, addressing the masses in a live broadcast. "Your anger blinds you to the truth," he said, his voice tinged with sadness. "The nullifier is our only hope, not just for your world, but for ours as well. Together we face extinction. Divided, we are already lost." His words swayed some, but others remained unconvinced. Dr. Vasquez, meanwhile, made a startling discovery. Embedded within the Harbinger's signals was a pattern, a sequence resembling coordinates. Could it be a destination, or perhaps a weak point in the hive mind's network? She shared her findings with Zorin, who recognized the coordinates immediately. They pointed to a remote sector of space inhabited by an ancient civilization long thought extinct. "We must go there," Zorin insisted. "If the hive mind has a central node, it may be located in that region." The implications were staggering. Sending a mission to intercept the reinforcements meant leaving Earth vulnerable, but staying put guaranteed annihilation. President Carter convened an emergency council to debate the proposal. Opinions clashed fiercely. Some argued that abandoning Earth was tantamount to surrender, while others believed it was the only shot at survival. Ultimately, the decision came down to one person, Dr. Vasquez. As the foremost expert on the Harbinger, her recommendation carried weight. After hours of deliberation, she gave her verdict. "We have no choice," she said. "If we stay, we die. If we go, we might live." Preparations for the mission moved at breakneck speed. A coalition fleet was assembled, combining humanity's most advanced starships with Lumari vessels adapted for interstellar travel. Crews trained rigorously, learning to operate hybrid systems and adapt to zero-gravity combat scenarios. At the heart of the operation sat the nullifier, now fully constructed and mounted aboard a massive carrier ship. Its presence loomed large, a symbol of both hope and desperation. Dr. Vasquez volunteered to lead the expedition, despite protests from President Carter and Zorin. "I started this," she argued. "I need to finish it." Reluctantly, they agreed, assigning Captain Hayes as her second-in-command. Together, they selected a diverse crew representing both species, each member chosen for their unique skills and unwavering resolve. As launch day approached, tensions reached a fever pitch. General Kane launched a last-ditch effort to derail the mission, accusing Vasquez of treason and claiming the nullifier would be used to betray humanity. His accusations sparked riots, forcing authorities to impose martial law around launch sites. In the end, the fleet departed under cover of darkness, slipping past blockades and evading hostile forces. The journey through space was harrowing. Crews battled equipment malfunctions, radiation storms, and psychological strain. Morale wavered, but moments of camaraderie kept spirits alive. Stories were shared, bonds formed, and mutual respect grew between humans and Lumari. For the first time, the two species began to see each other not as allies of convenience, but as equals fighting for a common cause. When they finally reached the coordinates, what they found defied imagination. Floating in the void was a colossal structure, a biomechanical monstrosity pulsating with light and energy. It was the hive mind's central node, a nexus controlling countless drones scattered across the galaxy. "Now or never," Vasquez whispered as the fleet prepared for the final assault. The battle for the hive mind's core was unlike anything humanity or the Lumari had ever experienced. Swarms of biomechanical drones poured forth from the structure, overwhelming the fleet's defenses. Explosions lit up the void as ships exchanged fire, their hulls glowing red-hot from repeated impacts. Inside the carrier ship, Dr. Vasquez coordinated the assault, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around her. Captain Hayes led boarding parties tasked with planting explosives near critical junctions of the hive mind's infrastructure. Each step forward was a struggle, with enemy forces closing in from all sides. Casualties mounted, but the mission pressed on. Finally, the nullifier was deployed. A small team, including Vasquez and Hayes, piloted a shuttle toward the core, dodging relentless attacks. As they breached the outer shell, they encountered a surreal landscape, a labyrinth of organic tendrils and metallic veins pulsating with energy. At its center lay the hive mind's brain, a grotesque amalgamation of flesh and circuitry. Activating the nullifier required manual intervention, meaning someone would have to stay behind to ensure its success. Without hesitation, Vasquez volunteered. "You brought me here," she told Hayes. "Now get everyone else home." Tears welled in Hayes' eyes, but she nodded, knowing there was no time to argue. As the shuttle departed, Vasquez initiated the nullifier sequence. Waves of energy radiated outward, disrupting the hive mind's connections and silencing its cries. The structure collapsed in on itself, consumed by a blinding light. Back on Earth, news of the victory spread slowly, tempered by the knowledge of sacrifices made. Humanity and the Lumari stood together, united by loss and triumph. Though scars remained, the bond forged in the crucible of war promised a brighter future for both species. Subscribe now to explore more thrilling tales of courage, sacrifice, and the boundless possibilities of the universe.